Here at Tide Water Management Group, we aim to bring top-notch training to our agents on learning how to sell our health insurance products. What you're about to see is a mock Medicare Advantage appointment with potential enrollees. Enjoy.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Ms. Smith, I'm Ronnie James. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in today.
Nice to meet you
Mr. Smith, glad to have you today.
Nice to meet you.
Please come on in my office and we'll talk in just a few minutes. Let me give you one of my cards here today. And again, it has my cell number and my office number on it. So if you should ever need to reach me, again, feel free to give me a call.
Okay.
Now, I appreciate Ms. Smith actually referring you over to me today. And my job here today is to just educate you as far as telling you exactly what your options are and to help you minimize risk. Because anytime I sit down with folks, I tell them my primary objective here today is to help you minimize risk. You may find that when we get finished with this, you're good right where you're at. And if you're in the plan that's right for you, I have no problems telling you that. But if not, now's the time that we can take a look at maybe making some changes. So if you don't mind me asking, what type of plan are you currently in now? Do you have a Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement
We
plan?
have a Medicare supplement plan.
Okay, all right, so you have Medicare Supplement plan, okay.
Right.
Have you been happy with the plan
So far.
so far? Okay. Is there anything that you'd say you like best about that plan?
They're good at paying what Medicare doesn't pick up.
Okay, all right.
And we're just pleased with how they handle claims and everything else.
Okay, all right. Has there been anything that you've been dissatisfied with when it comes to your supplement?
Well, we haven't had any real issues yet, any health issues yet.
Okay,
So
so you haven't really used it a great deal?
just our doctor's appointments.
Okay, all right. So based on that, would you say that you're paying a lot of money for something that you're not using a great deal at this point? Would that be an accurate statement?
Yeah, we're not completely sure what it will cost us down the road.
Okay, all right. Because they typically do go up each year, as you know.
Right.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with Medicare Advantage at all? Is that a term that's familiar with you, or do you know anything about Medicare Advantage programs?
Very little.
Very little. Okay. All right. Well, because we are mandated by CMS, which is Medicare, we are required, anytime we get the opportunity to sit down with someone in our office or one-on-one, we are required to have what's called a scope of appointment form signed. So I'm going to have to ask each of you to sign this before we can talk about any benefits today. And you can read this form, but what it says is that by signing this form, you just agree to a meeting with me today. You understand that I do not work directly for the federal government, and that by signing this form, it does not enroll you or obligate you to enroll in any plan. And then just your signature there, Mr. Smith. And what this says, again, is that you just allow me to talk to you today. I then have to take this, and I'm required to keep this on file for 10 years. If CMS should ask for this and I can't produce it, I'm subject to a fine. So this is for my protection and your protection. It also lets you know that I could be compensated if you should decide to enroll in a program. Okay. Any questions about this? Okay, all right. So next, let's talk real briefly about the differences between a Medicare Advantage and a Medicare Supplement program, because I think it's important that you understand. Because a Medicare Supplement plan is what we consider a prepayment plan, meaning you pay a monthly premium every month for that plan. But as a rule, when you go to your doctors or if you should go to the hospital, you'll have no out-of-pocket expenses because you paid that premium every month. Whereas an Advantage plan is more of a pay-as-you-go type of plan. They typically have much smaller premiums, but you make a co-payment each time you go. So if you're very healthy and you're not going to the doctor a great deal, you can save quite a bit of money. If you start having some health issues, you could potentially spend more money. And that's why you have to kind of weigh it out and determine which is better suited for you, because there's no one plan that's best suited for everybody. Currently, nationwide, and I'm a lefty here, I'm going to write on this paper here. You're welcome to take it with you. I'm going to show you the catalog here in just a minute, the packet. Medicare does not allow me to write on this. Okay, I'm going to show it to you and you can write all over it, but they don't allow me to write on it. So that's why I bring in this scrap piece of paper. But nationwide, 27% of people that are on Medicare now have a Medicare supplement plan, like what you have. And 31% nationwide have an Advantage plan. So right now, the Advantage plans are starting to outpace the supplements. Part of the reason for that is that a lot of people have been on very expensive health insurance plans. They've been on Obamacare or their group plan, and they've paid large premiums. And of course, all the insurance companies are evil in a lot of people's eyes, and people hate giving money to the insurance company. And they say, if I can take that money and put it in my back pocket, I'd rather keep my money and just pay as I go. Right? Other folks are very healthy. 65 is the new 45. People that are turning 65 are still running marathons and still playing tennis and still very, very active. And so they don't see that they're getting benefit out of those supplements as they do go up. Other folks like the security of the supplements. And so, there's no one choice that's best for everybody. Right? So your supplement plans, again, just to give you a general synopsis, they're what we call prepaid plans. Also, with Medicare supplement, you do have larger premiums than you will with the Advantage plans. So you do have lower premiums, which always sounds good to me, lower premiums. But you always want to make sure that you're getting a good value, because just because something has a lower premium doesn't necessarily make it a better product. Okay? With Medicare supplements, you do have the freedom of network. This is the number one reason that people nationwide go on a Medicare supplement, is they can go anywhere they want to go. So they don't have to worry about, is my doctor in the network, or are they not in the network? Medicare Advantage plans do work off a network, so they're network based in our area. The good news is that most all the doctors here in the area do participate in the Advantage plans. And of course, we'll check your doctors just to make sure that he or she participates in the program. But you will be required to stay in the network in your HMO plans. In your PPO plans, you get a lower copayment if you stay in the network as opposed to going out of the network. But they're still network-based products. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Also with Medicare supplements, they do not include Medicare Part D, your prescription drug plan. You have to purchase a separate drug plan if you want prescription drug coverages. And do you currently have a Medicare Part D plan that you pay a premium?
We do.
Okay, so you have an extra premium for that. And with your Medicare Advantage plans, as a rule, Medicare Part D will be included in it. So it'll be a comprehensive plan that will include your medical and your prescription drug benefits. Because right now, if you go to the doctor or the hospital, you've got to show your red, white, and blue Medicare card. You have to show your Medicare supplement card, and then you have to show your prescription drug card if you go to the pharmacy. Whereas with a Medicare Advantage plan, it's designed to give you a comprehensive package so that you'll get one card, and that ID card is good at the doctor, the hospital, and the pharmacy. So one card for everything. And for some people, that just makes it a little bit easier for them. Okay? The other thing is that with a Medicare supplement plan, the benefits will never change. So if you buy a supplement, the benefits that you have on that plan will be the same every year. What does tend to change is your premiums tend to go up every year depending on what plan you're on. They go up anywhere from about 4%, and unfortunately we've seen them as high as 18% increases, just depending on the carrier. With the Advantage plans, they can change, and most of the time they do change a little bit every year, because this is a privatization of your Medicare. And what happens is the carriers have to sign a one-year contract with the federal government that has to be renewed every year. So as they change their plans, you may decide, I don't like this anymore. Well, Medicare will give you what's called your annual enrollment period. And every year between October 15th and December 7th, you're going to have the ability to change plans. So it makes it easy from you in the standpoint that you're only basically signing up for a one-year contract. So with Medicare Advantage, you have to meet 3 requirements to be eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan. Okay, so I just need to confirm that you meet those, and I feel confident you do. Number 1, you have to have Medicare Part A and Part B.
Yes.
All right, great. Number 2, you have to live in the plan service area. So you live here in the Wake County area, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you do qualify based on that. And thirdly, you cannot have ESRD. And like an old boss of mine used to say, if you don't know what it is, you ain't got it. All right.
Okay.
That just means you can't currently be on kidney dialysis. So as long as you're not on dialysis, that's the only health question that we can ask you. So other than that, it won't matter if you're diagnosed with cancer and you're in the middle of chemotherapy treatments. It won't matter if you're insulin-dependent diabetic and getting ready to have an insulin pump put in. None of that matters. But they can't turn you down. They can't rate you up. And it just makes it easy for you to enroll into the program. And the reason for that is the federal government says if we are going to participate with this program, the carriers can't cherry pick. They can't say we just want healthy people and not the unhealthy people.
Right.
They have to say we'll take everybody, then we'll take it and we'll manage the money and we're responsible for paying out claims for Medicare. So some people get the misconception that if they enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan, they've lost Medicare. That is not true. You're still in Medicare. You'll still have all the rights, privileges, and protections of Medicare, but Medicare will not pay your claims if you enroll in a Medicare Advantage program. The carrier that you sign up with will be responsible for paying those claims. Okay? And that's simply because Medicare is going to pay them a set fee every month to help take care of you along the way. Okay? Any questions about the difference between an Advantage and a supplement plan?
The Advantage plan, we travel a lot. Will that cover when we're out of the country or?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Good question, because I know a lot of people that are now retired do travel. With Medicare Advantage plans, they do cover you for emergency anywhere you travel. As a matter of fact, most of them will even cover you outside of the United States, which Medicare has very limited coverages for emergency care outside the United States. So outside of the U.S., you actually have a little better coverage with an Advantage plan than you do with traditional Medicare and your supplement. So good question. The two things that are most important to check first are network and drug formularies. Make sure your drugs are covered, because it won't matter how good the product is. If your doctor doesn't participate and you're not willing to change doctors, it won't be a good fit for you. And the worst thing I can do is put you in a product that's not a good fit for you, because you won't be happy with me, you won't be happy with the carrier. So we always like to check that doctor, unless you tell me, I don't really like my doctor anyway and I'm going to change doctors. Then it doesn't matter so much. But as a rule, I find that most people are happy with their doctors. They want to keep those. So if you don't mind me asking, who is your primary care doctor? And I'll just look to see if they participate in any of the programs.
Dr. Dan Richard.
Okay. All right, I'm just looking it up online. I find it, if we look it up online, it's easier and it's more accurate, because the paper directories that they fill out, by the time they fill those out and print them up, they are already outdated. So Dr. Richard, is he here in Wake County?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it looks like he does participate in the program. Is there any other doctors that you currently use?
I have an orthopedic that I go to.
Okay. All right. And his or her name?
Robert Wilson.
Wilson. Okay. All right. And where is Dr. Wilson located?
It's Emerge Ortho now here in Raleigh.
Okay, in Raleigh. Okay. All right. So it does like there is one that does participate here locally. So he's in network as well. Looks like there's also one in Mooresville, North Carolina, which is closer to where I live. So, but yes, so your orthopedic is in network as well.
Yeah.
Any others?
My pulmonologist
Okay.
is Hayes.
Hayes. Okay. You know Dr. Hayes' first name?
David.
David.
David Allen.
Okay. David Hayes, absolutely right there. Okay, great. So it looks like he participates as well. As I mentioned, we live in a really good area for network. So typically it's not a rule, but it's always important to check because they can be some situations where the doctors don't participate. Okay. All right, so good. Looks like your doctors are good. And again, you're not required to tell me, but it will help me as far as medications. Are either one of you currently taking any medications?
Lotrel for blood pressure.
Okay.
And Naprolan.
All right, you know the dosage on those?
1020 for the Lotrel.
Okay.
And 500 milligram for Naprolan per day.
All right, great. I think that's Mr. Smith. And Miss Smith, do you take any medications?
Thyroxine
Okay.
for levothyroxine
Okay.
for thyroid, and Symbicort
Okay.
for my asthma,
Okay. based on what I'm hearing, it looks like United Healthcare may be a good option for you to look at. They cover 97 of the top 100 used generic medications on their formulary, so they have a really strong formulary, and that's why I typically like to take a look at those. They've done a good job with their program, and so I'm going to show you the United Healthcare program today, and then you can make some decisions, okay? Because we don't believe in high pressure. I tell people we want you to be absolutely comfortable with whatever decision you make, and because now is the open enrollment period, you have between now and December 7th to make a final decision on this, okay? United Healthcare, some of the reasons that I like to show the United Healthcare product is because of the star rating. I don't know if you're familiar with star ratings at all, but Medicare, every year, they grade the programs. And there's about 30 different criteria that they look at each year to see about customer satisfaction, see if they've had complaints, to see if the drug formulary looks good, if they've got a good network, if people that are on it are getting their wellness checkup. So there's a lot of criteria that goes into this, and 5-star is the highest rating that any plan can obtain in the country. Medicare recommends that you do business with a carrier that has at least a 2.5-star rating. Okay? In North Carolina, there are no 5-star plans. 5-star is very, very difficult to obtain, and there's only a handful of carriers that have even obtained it nationwide. So in North Carolina, you can see that United Healthcare has obtained a 4.5-star rating. So they have an overall 4.5-star rating, which they are very proud of, and they should, because this is the highest rating that any plan in the state has obtained. Okay? I'm also required to tell you that if you would like to have this in any other format, any other language, you can get it printed in multiple languages. But if you sat with me this long and hadn't gotten up, that tends to tell me that you understand English pretty good, right? Okay, so we're good there, but it is included that you do have access to that. If you need interpreters, they can help because Medicare wants to make sure that everyone who has an interest in this has the ability to be able to enroll in it. Okay? All right, now, before I get to the benefits, on the front page, I always like to point out with United Healthcare that this program is an HMO program. What that means is it's a health maintenance organization. There's been some negative stigmatism about HMOs in the past, and that's why I like to point this out up front. With United Healthcare's product, it is an open access program. And the negative stigmatism was around the fact that a lot of the old traditional HMOs always required you to get a referral. You had to get a referral. You had a gatekeeper that always had to give you permission to go to a specialist. If you ever wanted to go anywhere, you had to always start with the primary care and work out. United Healthcare has taken that referral process out. So as long as the doctor's in the network, if you woke up tomorrow and say you had a rash and you want to go see a dermatologist, as long as that dermatologist is in the network, you're able to get up, go see the dermatologist without ever notifying your primary care doctor. You do not have to go through them.
Well, we get a list of who's in the network and who isn't.
Absolutely. You'll get a printed directory. Now, the directory is thicker than a telephone book statewide. Mm-hmm. So what United Healthcare will do if you enroll in this program is they will send you an abbreviated version of the provider directory, and it'll show doctors that are within your area. However, if you'd like to have the statewide directory, they will send it to you if you want a paper copy, or you can go to uhc.com and you can look it up through the doc finder tool. So a lot of Medicare recipients are more and more comfortable with the computer, and it's the most accurate way because you may have doctors that have been added since the book was printed up, and so you can look it up online, or you can ask for a printed copy, or that's an added value that I have. You always have access to call me. If there's any questions that you have, if you're not sure about a doctor, feel free to call me. It costs you nothing to use me. But this plan is plan number 1. It's the UHC AARP Medicare Complete Plan 1. Now with this plan, you do not have to be a member of AARP to enroll in this program. Okay? CMS does not allow them to require you to join them to have this product, and AARP does not endorse this plan. It's just co-branded. So they co-brand with this product, but you do not have to be a member. Okay? All right. Now, let's take a look at what they call the benefit highlights. And again, I want you to feel free to ask questions because this is where we kind of get into the nuts and bolts of everything.
Okay.
Right? Now, with this plan here, this premium is $46 a month. Okay, that's if you don't receive any extra help with your prescription drug cost. So, if I may ask you, are you currently getting extra help with your prescription drugs? And if you're not sure, then you're probably not.
No, we
Okay.
just pay it out of pocket what they don't cover.
Okay, all right. If you think you may qualify for extra help, I can always help you to apply for that. And that's going to be based on your income, because Medicare sets guidelines, and if your income falls below the federal poverty guidelines, you can qualify for extra help, which will reduce your premium and help reduce the cost of your prescription drugs as well.
Extra help from whom?
From the federal government. Because
Oh,
Medicare
okay.
will give you extra help to help lower those premiums to make it more affordable if your income falls below the income threshold. But as a rule, most of the Medicare recipients will pay $46 premium for this product. Okay? Now that's in addition to your Medicare Part B, because some people think, well, if this plan's taking care of me, I can cancel my Medicare Part B, and that'll save me the $134 a month that they're deducting out of my Social Security check. If you cancel Medicare Part B, it will automatically terminate all of this. That is a prerequisite to get this product, is that you have to have Medicare A and B. If I could pay for this product and have it, you can bet I would have this product. These are much better benefits than anything that I can get on the open market. So I think you're going to be very
So
happy
that
with it.
covers all your prescription drugs? Or-
Yes, ma'am. It's built in. It's a comprehensive plan that builds into prescription drug benefits. Yes, ma'am. So all of it's included for $46 a month. And I have a lot of people that ask me, well, how can United Healthcare do that for $46 a month? And here's kind of the short version of that. Medicare goes around to every county of every state, and they calculate how many people in that county have Medicare, and then on average, how much is it costing Medicare per person to provide medical services. And it varies a little bit by county and by state, but just to give you kind of an average, here in North Carolina, it costs the federal government roughly $800 a month per person to provide medical services for them. So what happened is United Healthcare went to the federal government and said, we think that we can help people, and we think that we can do a better job essentially than what you're doing with Medicare, because we specialize in healthcare. And as you know by the news, our federal government does not specialize in healthcare. So they take that $800 a month. The federal government pays them that flat amount, that average amount, and then they have to take it and manage it along with the additional $46 they're going to charge you. And then they have to manage it and pay out all the claims. And that's why the federal government doesn't allow them to cherry pick and just take healthy people. Because United Healthcare knows that there's going to be some individuals they're going to enroll from day one that they will absolutely lose money on. Because they're in and out of the hospital a lot, they have a lot of medical procedures done. And then there's going to be people that United Healthcare is going to enroll that they'll make money on. And they just have to take those funds and be able to show a profit and be able to control how this program works, because it looks at profitability to the company and it's still got to be competitive to the consumer. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. So it's much more than $46 a month that United Healthcare is getting to take care of you, but you're only responsible for the $46. Okay? So this is a privatization of your Medicare benefits. Okay? Now what United Healthcare has done this year, which is really nice, is they have tiered the doctors. So you have tier 1 and tier 2 providers. A tier 1 provider, those are going to be your doctors that will save you a little bit of money. Those are the doctors that participate in one of 5 networks. And those networks are not here in this area, unfortunately. So the tier 1 providers are no copayment for your primary care doctor. Tier 2 is going to be the doctors that you're used. So we looked up Dr. Roberts, I think was your primary care doctor. Is that right? Richards. Okay, it was Dr. Richards. So Dr. Richards is a tier 2 provider. So for him, it would be a $10 copay. Now, what United Healthcare has done is they've waived the deductibles. So your Medicare supplement plan, you're not paying a deductible now probably if you have Plan F, which is what most people have. Does that sound right? Okay, Plan F. So you're accustomed to just walking in and walking out of the doctor and just showing your ID cards and you're good to go. Your primary care doctor copayment is going to be a $10 copayment. So each time you go in, you'll be required to just pay that $10 copayment when you come in, and that covers the services that the doctor provides for you there at the office that day. Okay? A specialist is a $50 copayment, so you just kind of pay as you go. And so, again, open access, no referral. It's just going to be a copayment each time you go. And what studies have shown is it requires people to be a little more responsible with their usage. Also, these companies encourage you to use your primary care whenever possible. So you can see the copayment is going to be a lot less expensive than it would be to go to the specialist. Okay? Your preventive care services are covered at 100%. Medicare Advantage plans in general are very big about being proactive. And one of the things about Medicare is they have been more known to be reactive. If you get sick, we'll help cover you. If something goes bad, we're going to be there. And what the private carriers said, like United Healthcare, is we want to catch things early. The old adage, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. We want to make sure that you're going to get your annual physical. We want to make sure that you're getting your mammograms. We'll make sure you get your PSA tested. They're going to cover those preventive screenings at 100% so that there's no reason for you not to have them done. All right? You never have to go, but they're going to encourage you. They'll send you a letter throughout the year to say, hey, Ms. Smith, we noticed you haven't had your annual mammogram. Or Mr. Smith, we noticed that you've not gone to have your PSA tested. They'll send you those to try to encourage you to do that so that they can catch things early. Because if they catch them early, it's less expensive for them and less expensive for you. Okay? Because, I'm going to skip down just a second here to the out-of-pocket maximum. This is really where the rubber meets the road. Because I told you, I want to help you minimize risk. And anytime you go into a new plan, the first question that you should ask yourself is, well, what's my risk? You know, what's going to happen to me if something goes bad? Because we know that as people age, some people's health tends to decline as they get older. Other folks are very healthy until the day that they're called home, okay? And we just don't know. But your out-of-pocket maximum is $4,700 with this plan. There is no deductible. So this is not a deductible, and some people misinterpret this as being a deductible. So this is the way it works. I mentioned with the Advantage plan, this is my little insurance bucket, and I know I'm not a good artist, but every time you make a co-payment, it goes into your insurance bucket. So it starts adding up. So let's say that you went to see your primary care doctor and it's a $10 co-payment. That $10 goes into your insurance bucket. Okay? We haven't gotten to it yet, but emergency room. Let's say the emergency room copay is $75, and it is. So if you have to go to the emergency room, it's a $75 copayment, and that covers everything that's done in the emergency room. So any tests, medications, procedures that are done in the emergency room, you have a $75 copayment, and that is waived if you're admitted. So if you're treated and released, you have that $75 copayment. That would go into the insurance bucket. So that bucket starts adding up through the year. If you were to reach $4,700 in out-of-pocket expenses for the year, your bucket would then be full, and everything else the rest of the year would be covered at 100%. So this is your maximum risk. Studies show that the majority of Medicare recipients never get to this because the co-payments are kept low so that you don't reach it, but this is your worst case scenario. Okay? That makes sense to you? Okay? And what you have to do is do some comparisons, because I haven't asked you, but Mr. Smith, if you don't mind me asking, about how much are you paying for your Medicare supplement right now?
What are we paying for that?
I think it's 175.
All right, so 175 for his supplement, okay. And I should probably ask Miss Smith, if she's like my wife, she keeps the checkbook anyway, right?
I think you should.
All right, do you have any idea what his Medicare Part D plan's costing each month?
33.
Okay, so 33 a month, okay. So right now, you're spending about $208 a month between your supplement and your drug plan for your health coverages, okay? This is in addition to your Medicare Part B. So 208, so what you have to calculate in your mind is, am I better paying $208 a month and not having any out-of-pocket expenses, or would I be better to look at a plan that's only $46 a month and then just pay as I go with the co-payments to determine whether you think you'll come out ahead or not, okay? I will also tell you that in the Medicare New booklet that you should have been receiving, okay, they're getting ready to come out again now. In the Medicare New booklet, it stipulates that if you're on a Medicare supplement plan and you have never tried a Medicare Advantage plan before, so if this was brand new, you've never had one before, you have to give up your supplement to enroll in an Advantage plan. The federal government says that any time within the first 12 months, if you decide that you are happier in your supplement, that it was better suited for you, that you can terminate this and go back to your supplement plan without any penalties, without any health questions. So the federal government is essentially giving you a 12-month trial run with this, because people typically know if they like this within the first year or not. Okay?
Will the original plan you have take you back?
They have to. They're
they
required
do?
to take you
Okay.
back. So that's a protection, because it's hard to give up something that you have now that you know works to try something that's new, because anytime something's new, it can be a little scary to you. So that's why the federal government says we're going to give you a trial period to try this out, just to see if you like it or not. It's my job to make sure that if I put you on this plan, that it's a good fit. I don't want to put you on a plan if it's not a good fit, because I've not done you any favors if I put you through that hassle. Okay, so that's why we go through this. As again I mentioned, preventive services covered at 100%. If you have to go into the hospital, again, we hope that you don't, but as an inpatient, if you go into the hospital, there is no deductible. You don't have to worry about a deductible, and you just have a flat copayment. Because right now, under original Medicare, if you go into the hospital, you're going to get a bill from the hospital. You're going to get a bill from all areas. You're going to get one from the anesthesiologist, pathology, radiology, the surgeon. You're going to get bills from all directions. The Medicare Advantage plans simplify that in the fact that what United Healthcare will do is they will pay all the providers at 100%. The only bill that you'll get will be from the facility, so from the hospital itself, and that bill is $275 a day for days 1 through 7. Most people today, when they go in the hospital, they won't stay 7 days. Modern medicine's gotten good. They get you in and get you out pretty quickly, but you have an all-inclusive copayment at $275. So you don't have to worry about how expensive anything is. ICU's not extra. It's all-inclusive in that $275 per day if you go to the hospital. Right? Any questions on that?
Okay, what if you have to stay more than 7 days?
Okay, good question. After the 7th day, everything's covered at 100%.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about any out-of-pocket expenses beyond day 7, because there are those instances where people stay beyond 7 days. It's rare these days, but it does happen, but it would be covered at 100% after that 7th day. Okay. If you have to go into a skilled nursing facility, skilled nursing under original Medicare, which is what you have now, it requires you to have been in the hospital a minimum of 3 days before it will cover any skilled nursing care. So if you were there one day and the doctor says, you know, Miss Smith, you're healthy enough to leave the hospital, but we don't think you're quite ready to go home. We want you to go to skilled nursing. If they did that to you, it would not be covered under your plan currently. Medicare Advantage plans waive the minimum 3-day hospital stay for skilled nursing coverage. So you could bypass the 3-day hospital stay. And the way it works is you pay no copayment, 0 copay for the first 20 days you're in skilled nursing care. They typically, again, get you there for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then they're going to send you home as a rule anyway, because a lot of people go to skilled nursing care after a knee replacement or hip replacement. Unfortunately, some folks that have strokes go, things of that nature. This is not nursing home. This is not long-term care, because Medicare does not cover long-term care. This is actually skilled nursing care. If you're there beyond 20 days, you have $160 per day for days 21 through 50. Again, all of that is subject to your maximum out-of-pocket. So if you had already met your $4,700 out-of-pocket expenses and had to go into the skilled nursing facility, you would pay nothing from day 1. So everything is going to be subject back to this maximum out-of-pocket for the year. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. If you have to have outpatient surgery, it's a flat $275. As you know, modern medicine continues to advance. It's getting better and better. And so many things can be done on an outpatient basis now. And so any surgeries that you would have on an outpatient basis is a $275 copayment. That covers, again, the surgeon, anesthesiology, facility charge, everything's inclusive in that $275 copayment. So great value there. Mm-hmm. Neither one of you mentioned you were diabetics. I hope that you never have to worry about diabetes, but if you were to become diabetic, all diabetic testing supplies are covered at 100%. Medicare wants you testing, because with diabetes, if it's not kept under control, it only gets worse. So United Healthcare does a really good job of making sure your test strips, your lancets, and if you need a new meter, all provided for you at no cost so that you are able to do your testing. Home health care, same thing. If you need care in the home, 0 copay. It's covered at 100%. That would be things like if a nurse had to come in to help clean a wound after a hospital stay, or they had to come in and change bandages, things of that nature. This is not a full-time nurse in the home with you. This is just they're coming into the home to help take care of you. If you needed physical therapy in the home, or speech pathology or speech therapy after a stroke, something along those lines, if it's done in the home, it's covered at 100%. Okay. Any MRIs, CT scans are covered at 20%. That's 20% of the negotiated rate, not 20% of the billed amount, because if you've looked at any of your statements in the past, you have the facility that charges you X amount, then they have a Medicare approved amount, and then you pay a percentage of that. United Healthcare does the same thing. They get a bill, this is what they charge, this is what we allow, and you only pay 20% of the negotiated rate, which is gonna be equal to or better than what Medicare's negotiated rate was.
How much is an MRI?
Depends on where you go. You know, I've heard anywhere from $600 to over $1,000, depending. So you're probably gonna be somewhere around $100 to $150 for an MRI, depending on where you go. Okay, that 20%. Again, that 20% goes right back into the maximum out of pocket for the year. Okay? So 20% of that. And that's why I say you have to calculate how many MRIs you having in a year. Because if you're having multiple MRIs, you're having multiple hospital stays, you may be better off paying the $208 a month as opposed to going into the Advantage plan. Again, this just has to be affordable. Because what we find is that as these supplements go up every year, a lot of people say it's just reached the point where it's not affordable.
Right.
So this is a much more affordable option for some people to pay as they go. You also have lab work. Lab work's covered at a $10 copayment. So you don't have to worry about how many tests they're running. If you go for a draw, it doesn't matter where you go, whether it's your primary care doctor, specialist, where have you, it's a flat $10 copayment for your labs. They can run 50 screens off of that. You're still going to be responsible for just a $10 copayment for lab services. If you have to have any x-rays, notice it says outpatient x-rays. They're $14. That's your flat screen x-rays. Because if an x-ray is done in the emergency room, it's covered as part of the emergency room expense. If it's done in the hospital, it's part of the $275 flat copayment per day. So these are just your outpatient x-rays or $14 copayment. So it makes it very, very affordable for you to have those x-rays done. An ambulance is a $250 copayment. That's whether it's ground or, God forbid, you ever have to be airlifted. It's covered for a $250 copayment. And I don't know if you've ever known anyone that have to be airlifted, but it's a minimum $10,000 in my area. $10,000 for a medevac flight. So $250, at that point you don't care anyway. Just get me taken care of, get my loved one taken care of. They'll bill you for the $250.
What is the Medicare price for that?
Medicare's 20%, so it could be far more than that. Especially if you figure it's a medevac flight. If it's $10,000, 20% would be $2,000. So, and I've heard stories of people being on critical care ambulances and traveling less than 20 miles and the bill be over $1,800. And they charge quite a bit for some of these ambulances. So you're flat $250 regardless of what that bill may be.
Okay.
Urgent care, emergency room, as I mentioned, $75 copayment. That's anywhere in the world. So you mentioned travel. If you travel and you get sick, go to the emergency room. Okay, it will be covered for the $75 copayment anywhere you travel. Right. Some people say, "Well, I'll just go to the doctor the next day." That doctor may or may not be in the United Healthcare network. Again, being on the HMO, we don't want you to have to pay any more than what you have to get medical care. So go directly to the emergency room for that $75 copayment. Urgent care. If you can go to urgent care, it's going to save you money. And what studies are now showing is that about 30% of all emergency room visits are not really emergencies. Those folks could have waited to either go to their primary care doctor the next day or could have seen urgent care. Those are for your minor emergencies. Those are things like, I've got something in my eye, I need to have it flushed. I'm having flu-like symptoms. I can go to the urgent care as opposed to the emergency room, and you're looking at $30 for a contracted visit at urgent care. Much less expensive for you. Okay? I always encourage people to be smart about it though. Because I had a grandfather that was, he grew up in the Depression and he was tight as he could be. And my grandfather was always looking for ways to save a buck. And I said my grandfather would have been the type that was having chest pains and he would have gone to the urgent care to save money. And then he would have just escalated things because the first thing they're going to do is charge you $30, put you on an ambulance that has a $250 copayment, and then send you to the emergency room for a $75 copayment. So always use good sense about it, but if it's something that's a minor emergency that you can go to urgent care, it will save you money.
Where we're from, they call that doc in a box.
Doc in a box, all right, that'll work too. But it will save you some money there. All right, any questions about any of the medical that we've covered? All right. With Medicare Complete here, with the United Healthcare AARP Medicare Complete program, they've also added some additional benefits for you. These are some goodies that they give you that traditional Medicare doesn't, and that your supplement plan doesn't. And a lot of people have found them to be beneficial because, as I mentioned, they are really big on making sure that they keep you healthy. So they've added some things. For example, they cover for a routine physical every year at 100%. Medicare covers a wellness visit, which is basically how you feeling today, your heart sound good, everything. A physical's when they actually put their hands on you, they're touching you, and they're giving you a real checkup. It's covered at 100% every year. Again, not required, but highly encouraged. They also give you a routine eye exam every year. Medicare only covers routine eye exams if you're diabetic. United Healthcare covers them for everyone. You also have preventive dental on this plan. Medicare does a poor job of covering teeth. And it doesn't matter where I go, there's so many people that ask about dental because as we age, unfortunately our teeth tend to go bad. And because the knee bone's connected to the neck bone, everything's connected. Studies have shown people that take good care of their teeth, good proper oral hygiene helps with their heart and everything else. So we want to make sure that we help cover that as well. United Healthcare will pay for you to have an exam, the cleaning, and the x-rays. They'll cover for you to have 2 per year under this plan. So it gives you the freedom to be able to go to the dentist to have your teeth cleaned, which is, again, very important. Routine foot care. It's $50 co-payment, but you can go to have routine foot care because Medicare doesn't cover that. And what studies show too is that a lot of people, as they age, they have a little more difficulty clipping their toenails, removing corns and calluses because their hands are not as steady. And so you can pay $50 to go have a professional clip your toenails. Right? Yeah, I know. I have some people say, well, I can go right down the street to the nail salon and have it done. That's true too, but this is a medical professional that's going to do it here. Right? So a little different. The other thing that I love about United Healthcare is that they cover hearing aids. Now, Mr. Smith, it won't help with selective hearing, and I don't know if you suffer from that, but most of us husbands do. But hearing loss is something that is a major concern to people. And studies are showing that what happens as people start losing their hearing is it's an embarrassment to them. They can't hear all the conversations that are going on around them, and so what they tend to do is they tend to withdraw from society. And as they withdraw from society, they sit in the lazy boy. And their blood pressure goes up, their cholesterol goes up, their weight goes up, diabetes starts coming on, and there's a lot of other health problems that are caused simply because of hearing loss. So what United Healthcare did was they went out and bought a hearing aid company. And so they own the hearing aid company, and it's amazing to see it work. But you can go to Greensboro or you can go to Charlotte if you want to meet with one of their High Health. The name of the company is High Health Innovations. They will actually do a hearing exam for you on site, fit you with the hearing aid on site, and send you home that day. So really, really nice. And you can get the hearing aid for as low as $330. I don't know anywhere where you can get a true hearing aid for $330. And this is something that United Healthcare does that no one else is doing at this point. So I really hit this one big because a lot of people don't realize they need a hearing aid. Especially us husbands, don't even realize it. And some people, they don't want to wear a hearing aid because they say it looks bad. Well, United Healthcare has the small one that fits over the ear that's $330, or you can get the one that's smaller that fits down in the ear canal, which is virtually invisible, for $380. All right, with this plan, it also includes a fitness benefit. It has the Silver Sneakers program, and I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a free membership at participating gyms, and it can be used nationwide. So if you travel, you can go online to silversneakers.com. and you can find the facilities that are close to you, and you have the ability to use any Silver Sneaker gym anywhere in the country, anytime. So if you want to swim, if you want to go exercise, if you want to walk, it gives you a lot of flexibility and freedom. And the Silver Sneakers program is designed to help you for your physical fitness, but at the YMCA where I go, I find that a lot of those Silver Sneaker members, they're not actually doing this. They're doing this. They're talking and they're laughing, and so it has a social aspect to it because you meet new friends, you have a good time, and again, your spiritual and your mental, emotional state is just as important as your physical. And so the Silver Sneaker helps to meet both of those criteria. So it will help it. So I encourage you, if you enroll in this program, to take advantage of the Silver Sneakers. And anytime I have a husband and wife, I always say both of you go together because it always helps to have an accountability partner, right? So all that's included in this program as well for the $46 a month. Any questions on that? All right. So now let's talk about Medicare Part D, because I told you that's inclusive, it's packaged together. So with United Healthcare's plan, There is no drug deductible on tiers 1, 2, or 3. And as you know, all Medicare drug plans work off of a formulary, which is just a list of drugs they cover, and they work off of a tier rating. The lower the tier, the lower the cost of the drug for you out of pocket. So with this plan here, a tier 1 generic, and again, we'll look up your medications to make sure they're covered, but a tier 1 generic at a retail pharmacy is $2. Very, very affordable. A tier 2, it's going to be $8. Those are your generic medications as a rule, so $2 and $8. If you do mail order, now are you comfortable with mail orders? Anything that you've used in the past, or do you prefer using the retail pharmacy?
We usually do retail, but I have done mail order a long time ago.
Okay, all right. Mail order has improved a lot over the last several years because Medicare keeps a close eye and oversees all of this. United Healthcare has to be sure that their mail order program is working properly, because if not, it causes complaints. No carrier wants you to have complaints because it affects their star ratings. So with a 4.5 star rating, you can be assured that United Healthcare is doing a good job with their mail order program. If you're comfortable with your maintenance medications being mail ordered, you can order those through United Healthcare, 90-day supplies, or at zero copay. So you'll pay nothing for your generics on tier 1 or tier 2 if you're willing to go through the mail. Some people like to maintain that relationship with a local pharmacist, and I respect that. And if you do, you'll just have a $2 or $8 copayment for your generic medications. Okay? Tier 3 medications, those are your preferred drugs. And because you take Symbicort, I'm familiar with that because I have a son who has asthma. So that's why I said I hate to hear you're having to take that medication, because when it comes to
What
life,
tier is it?
it's a tier 3. When it comes to breathing, I think that ranks up there pretty high on the to-do list, right? So it's important that you're able to get that Symbicort every month. With United Healthcare's plan, it's a $45 copayment for a preferred name brand drug. Okay,
Is that 30 days?
that's a 30-day supply. You can order it 90-day supply. It's $125. So you save a little bit, not as much, but you'll save a little bit going through the mail. But $45, subject to no deductible.
I'm afraid of the heat and cold situations in the
Right.
mail order.
And like I say, you're only going to save, if you do the math on it, you're only going to save about $10 over a 90-day period going through the mail. So a lot of my clients, what they'll do is they'll order their generic maintenance medications through the mail, and their name brands they'll still go to the local pharmacy for. Okay? You can do that. Okay? You can mix and match that. Now, if you go to a tier 4 drug, it's considered a non-preferred drug. It has a higher copayment of $95, but it's also subject to the deductible. So you can see here that the deductible is $170 on tier 4 and tier 5. So before you would have a copayment, you would have to satisfy that deductible of $170. Then after that, it would be a $95 copayment. I will tell you that in every drug category that you'll see, and you'll get a complete drug formulary once you've enrolled, in every drug category, there will be 3s and 4s in those categories. So if you're on a tier 4 drug now, you'll have the ability to take that drug formulary in with your doctor and sit down with him or her and say, okay, doc, I see that I'm on this drug here and it's a tier 4. Would it be possible for me to take a look at changing to a different drug that might be a tier 3 that would be less expensive for me and not require me to be subject to that deductible? I don't play doctor here, so I'm not going to recommend you changing any of your medications. But those are discussions that you should have. You're entitled to have those discussions with your doctor to help lower those drug costs. Okay, but tier 4, $95. A tier 5 is a specialty drug. Those are typically your drugs that have a retail cost in excess of $400. They're typically pretty expensive drugs. You'll be responsible for 29% of the cost of those drugs. Now, since you're already on Medicare Part D, you're probably already getting a statement every month that shows you what your drug cost has been month to date and year to date. All Medicare drug plans are required to do that. So United Healthcare will send you a statement every month showing you that, because what will happen is if you should reach $3,700 of prescription drug costs for the year, you will hit that coverage gap, or what a lot of people call the donut hole. So you will hit that with this plan just like you do with other plans. So it's important that you look at that every month. And that's why looking at generics could be a good option for you, because those are less expensive, which will help keep you from getting to that coverage gap. But if you reach $3,700 of prescription drug costs, you'll hit the coverage gap or donut hole. At that point, you'll start having to pay more for your medications. So just know that your drug costs will go up, because at that point, as you can see here, you're gonna pay 51% of the cost for your generics and 40% for your name brand drugs.
I don't remember the politics behind that? Why did that happen?
Well, when Medicare Part D first came out in 2006, once you hit the coverage gap or the donut hole, you paid 100% of the cost of your drugs at that point. So it was really difficult for people at that point. And what the government has now done is passed legislation that is eliminating the coverage gap or the donut hole little by little. And in 2020, January of 2020, the donut hole or coverage gap will be gone. You won't have to worry about it
So the
anymore.
insurance companies did it?
The federal government
It was on there?
did. The federal government did, and of course the insurance companies participated with it, so they understood how it worked. They sat down because for most Medicare recipients, it's the drug costs that are eating them alive. You know, it's the drugs that are so expensive because a lot of people are on maintenance medications. So the government realizes that in America, we shouldn't have to choose between do I eat today or do I buy Simicort? You know,
Right.
and so that they got to make it affordable. So this is a way to protect the American people is by closing up this donut hole. So it's
Right.
getting less and less every year. And statistically speaking, right now, only 1 in 9 people on Medicare ever reach the coverage gap. So most people aren't reaching it, but there's still that portion of the population that is reaching it. So just know that that will close up.
You're gonna die, huh?
Don't say that. We want to keep her healthy. That's why these benefits are put in here to keep her healthy. Okay? If you do hit the coverage gap, you'll pay those percentages until your out-of-pocket expenses or until your drug costs reach $49.50. Most people never reach this, but if you should, after that point, your medications you'll only pay 5% of the cost of those drugs at that point. So your drug costs go way down after you reach the catastrophic level, but most people never reach that. Then it starts over every January 1. So no matter where you're at in the cycle, January 1 it starts over again. But United Healthcare is known to have a really good formulary. As a matter of fact, this packet's yours, but they put a partial listing of their drug formulary here. So you can see in the packet that you take with you, you can see any of the drugs and you can see the tiers that's located beside it. All the name brand drugs are in darker print. So you can see your name brands are darker, your generics, your tier 1s, tier 2s are typically going to be your lighter print. Okay? So you can look at that anytime you want. You will get a complete drug formulary upon enrollment. Any questions on that?
I was kidding.
All right. Well, let me ask you, because again, Medicare does not want me to pressure you to do anything today. But if you're interested in enrolling, we can take care of you today. I can give you this. You can take it with you. You can come back in and visit with me, or you're able to drop it in the mail. The fourth way, you're able to do it online, right? Because you're not required to use an agent to do this. However, I would tell you that that's how I make my living. And I would appreciate it if I could help you, that you give me the opportunity to work with you. It does not cost you anything extra to use an agent. And all I do is give you an extra value because I'll be a local resource if you have questions or concerns throughout the year that you're able to reach out to me. So based on that, Mr. and Ms. Smith, is this something that you have any other questions about, or is it something that you feel like that you'd like to try out for the next year?
Are we gonna lose F, and I've heard it's gonna go to G or something else?
Right.
The F plan seems to be working very well for us right now.
Right.
Do you think with what we take and what we do, what little you know about it, that either plan, one or the other, is better for us?
Okay. What I'll say about the F and G losing it is that the federal government, January 1, 2020, Plan F is being discontinued for anyone who is aging into Medicare. They will not be able to get it.
Okay.
For individuals like yourself who are already in Medicare prior to January 1, 2020, you're grandfathered in and you'll still be able to get Plan F. Okay, so the F will still be available to you. You won't be losing it. You'll still be able to get it. However, after the first year that you're on this plan, if you should switch this plan after the first year, if for whatever reason you want to go back to that F, you'll have to be able to answer the health questions. So if you can't answer the health questions, it could prevent you from going back to that Plan F. So there is that risk, and so I think that's fair to tell you up front.
Right.
But would it still be available after January 1, 2020? It would be. If you decided that you wanted to go to a Plan F supplement, you could still get one. But because I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know what the
Right.
future holds, but based on what you've told me today, it looks like that you could come out way ahead, okay? Because you said you're just going to the doctors occasionally, you haven't been in the hospital, you're not taking a lot of expensive medications, which tells me your health has been pretty good. So based on that, you can save a lot of money. But because I don't know the future, Medicare says give them the information, let them make the decision.
Right.
Here's something I would encourage you, because what we did was we looked at just Mr. Smith's premium. I didn't ask you about your premium.
Mm-hmm.
What I recommend anybody I sit down with who already has a supplement in place to do is take a portion. If you didn't take all of it, if you just took $100 a month of what you're paying now and put that in a separate account, put it in a mason jar, put it wherever you want to put it to the side.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you have to go to the doctor or have a medical bill, pay it out of that. See if you're coming out ahead. And if you're coming out ahead in the Advantage plan, you won't ever go back. That's what we see. But within a year, if you see that you're taking more money out of that mason jar than you're putting in it, that's the time to say, hey, wait a minute, I want to go back to my supplement, and we can put you back on that supplement plan. So that's why the federal government gives you that 12-month period. But if you save, I've had people that I have talked to that I've asked them to do that, they've done it, and they've been healthy enough that they've saved enough money that after a few years, if they did have some claims, they had saved this amount of money by not having to pay those insurance premiums every month. Mm-hmm. So the Advantage plans can certainly come out good for individuals if they stay healthy. But we know they're affordable, we know that people like them, and we know that they're giving you extra benefits that Medicare alone is not providing for you currently. So as far as whether it's a good fit, it is a good fit. Your doctors participate, your medications are covered. It's just a question of where you're more comfortable being.
Does the federal government have any control over these Advantage plans, or?
They absolutely oversee every bit of it.
They do.
So anything I do, anything that I present, anything that is given to you has to be approved by Medicare. So everything is highly regulated, and because the plans can change and do change a little bit every year, you have the ability to change plans every year. So it puts you in the driver's seat. You have some control in that if for whatever reason you don't like United Healthcare, you don't like the color of their book next year, you can say, I want to go to a different plan. There are competitors here that you can switch to for any reason. And a lot of people like that because they've been educated to understand that as these plans change, you can change along with it. The only thing that can prevent you from ever being able to change your Medicare Advantage plan is if you were diagnosed with end-stage renal disease. If you went on dialysis, you won't be able to change your Advantage plan. You'll be on that particular plan. They can't cancel you for dialysis, but you can't switch to a different plan at that point.
Okay, what are the months per year where you can change over?
Okay, Medicare gives you October 15th through December 7th every year to be able to change plans. Okay, so that's your annual enrollment period. You also, if for any reason wanted to go back to original Medicare, Medicare has what's called the Medicare Advantage disenrollment period, which lasts from January 1st through February 14th. So I tell people, if you're not in love with your Medicare Advantage plan on Valentine's Day, you can break up with it. But you have to break up with it by Valentine's Day, or essentially you'll have it the remainder of that year.
Okay, great.
All right. So based on that, would you like to go ahead and try it out and take advantage of it?
Yeah, based on that.
Okay.
I think I'd rather do a little more research on what, if we wanted to go back into the regular Medicare, what questions are answered and what my thoughts are on whether we would qualify to go back in if we decide.
Okay.
to.
All right. Well, what I would say is that I'm going to give you all of this, and include my chicken scratch here. But what I'd recommend you do is go to cms.gov. That's the Medicare website,
Okay.
and you can read about these programs. Also, you can download in a PDF if you don't have a copy of it, but you can download the Medicare and You booklet. And the Medicare and You booklet, like I said, they deliver it to you every year in your home. It's a very good resource. It's non-biased. It'll tell you all about Advantage plans and how they work. And again, I mentioned uhc.com. You could go look at doctors and you can look and see what United Healthcare is doing in their plans. But United Healthcare is the largest provider of Medicare Advantage plans in the country. So they know what they're doing when it comes to these plans.
Okay.
And then I mentioned silversneakers.com. You can look at that. I don't know if that's a membership that you would take advantage of, but you can look and see if there's any participating facilities close to your home that you could go into.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give this to you here. And again, I've given you my card.
Okay.
I don't believe in high pressure. I'm not going to call you and bother you. But if I've not heard from you in a week or so, we may touch base again. But feel free to call me anytime. Even if you have questions and you're not ready to do business, I want to be here to take care of you.
All right,
Okay?
great.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Well, let me thank you for coming in today. And let me say I hope you have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time today.